what I try to do is come from a place of love, but love is not exempt of accountability. Antebellum is a film that follows a successful author who is trapped in this horrifying reality that forces her to confront the past, the present, and the future before it's too late. The reason why I said yes to this project was because I thought that it effectively connected the dots between the past, the present, and the future. When we're screaming Black Lives Matter, when we're screaming and talking about white supremacy, talking about systemic racism, systemic oppression, we can't talk about those things without talking about chattel slavery. America's first sin. And knowing that I'm here and you're here, not because we've asked to be here, but because our ancestors were forced to be here to work, is something that people need to be reminded of. People need to know that the past is not dead. The past is not the past. And when we're talking about police, when we're talking about police brutality as it pertains to right now, we have to always remember that in the South during the Civil War, the earliest stages of policing and the earliest police institution was the slave patrol, meant to kill, meant to destroy those who didn't obey, those who were forming or wanting to start a revolt, those who had run away. They were meant to track down our enslaved ancestors. And this is a system that inherently is built on racist policy, right? And that's what we're trying to change, racist policies. And when we're screaming defund the police, and when we're screaming abolish the police, we know what we're talking about. We know that we are trying to get rid of a system that was built on racist policy to traumatize us, to kill us. So this movie connects those dots.
Now, was there any reluctance? Because a lot of times, especially now, that when people hear that a project is somehow related to slavery, there's an automatic cringe moment where like, oh, do we want another slavery, related project? You were phenomenal in Harriet. Was there any hesitancy on your part to do Antebellum because you'd already done Harriet? Like, were you worried about, kind of being put in a box a little bit?
No, because the roles are different, and one, I just want to say I'm so thankful that Harriet was told. Harriet, is a hero to not just myself, but so many. And what she was able to do was extraordinary and needed to be highlighted. In that film, I played a free Black person. I wasn't an enslaved woman, and I had an opportunity to play Marie, and she worked as a person who helped Harriet and helped other enslaved folks when they came to seek freedom up north. She housed them. She made sure they got jobs. And so that was an important role, that it was important to see the different types of Black people during that era. With this particular project, Antebellum, I think I don't want to give away the plot. I don't want to give away too much of this film, but not only is it a film that highlights the truth about what happened to our ancestors, it also celebrates and highlights Black women today, like yourself, those who are constantly speaking out against white supremacy, constantly, giving a voice or helping or trying to help give a voice to marginalized communities. When I think of my character, Veronica, she's inspired like people like you, like Maxine Waters, like Angela Rye, like Brittany Packnett, like Jovian Zane, like Bree Newsome, like, so many Black women that carry the burden of deconstructing and dismantling systemic racism on their backs every single day. And I don't think it should be our job. I don't think it should be your job. I don't think it should be the women's job that I name. Yet we still do it, you know. And I feel like, you know, there is this narrative that Black women are these superheroes, and that we are is like kind of dehumanizing us in a sense. And I think we owe Black women so much, and at the very least, we owe Black women peace. And so my hope is that this film, when you watch this film, and if you are in the position of power and you are privileged, that you figure out how to give Black women peace, figure out how to give Black people peace, and you do the work. You do the work that we've been doing for centuries.
That's such an important point, because, you know, like a lot of Black women, I certainly bought into the trope that the strong Black woman, it sounds good and it's meant as a compliment, but as you said, it winds up being very crippling for us, because we bear a lot of responsibility, we shoulder a lot, and we maybe even start buying into our own detriment that we are superhuman, and we're not. Like, we need spaces to be vulnerable, we need spaces where we can unmask, and we often find that that only place that we find that space is with each other, which is great, but in a way that's also kind of heartbreaking. I mean, I know, like, lately, to slightly veer off topic from your project, we've had a lot of discussions about the lack of support we sometimes receive in our own community, Black women. And I'm not sure, and I'd love to hear your perspective about how we can have that conversation. Some of it popped up again. I don't know if you were able to see the video that Meg Thee Stallion put out about what happened to her. And it was just it just broke my heart to just see that and some of the response. So I'd love to hear your perspective about, like, how we as a community can have that conversation without Black men thinking that we're villainizing them about the lack of support that we sometimes receive in our own community for the work and for what we're trying to do.
Yeah. Listen, I think that what I try to do is come from a place of love, but love is not exempt of accountability. Just because you hold somebody accountable don't mean that you don't love them. That is the biggest form of love, because that's saying, listen, we can be better than that. I want you to be better than that. And I, like you, you know, was sick to my stomach around the victim blaming that was going on around Meg Thee Stallion. And she is strong. But she should not have to go through that. She should not have to prove to people who thought that she was lying that she wasn't lying. I think in general, there's going to have to be a commitment from those who benefit from patriarchy. If you benefit from patriarchy, you need to speak up. You need to do more to be not an ally, but an accomplice to Black women and those who do not benefit from this patriarchal system. Violence under any kind should be condemned. It's not a gender issue. It needs to be condemned. And I think that when we're talking about Black women, though, we are disproportionately affected by it. So my thing, in the same way that my thing is to say, in the same way that we ask white people to fix to abolish systemic racism and oppression, I'm asking those, and this is Black men included, if you are doing this, then I'm not talking to you. But if you benefit from this white patriarchal system in a way that we don't, I'm asking you to have conversations with more men about how you can be better supportive, how you can show up better for Black women and other folks who may not be as privileged as you are in this world. And I think that's the same that goes with rich and poor. You know what I'm saying? Light and dark. I think we can all be better. And I'm talking to myself here. I think we can all be better accomplices to one another. We can all get in the paint more and help those who are not as privileged as we are.
I've tried to explain to some Black men is that, yes, as a Black man, you are perceived as a threat in this country. You are under the boot of racism, but you still have male privilege. And
Absolutely.
they don't necessarily get that part of it. And I'm like, we have like literally no privilege. We have nothing. That's why Malcolm X said years ago, we were the most disrespected person in America.
Well, when you think about it, not only are we fighting against racism, we're fighting against sexism.
Absolutely.
So that needs to be highlighted. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then it depends on, you know, in terms of class. We're fighting against classism. Like it's a lot of different things, and I think that people just have to do the research to understand where they sit and where their privilege is, and hold themselves accountable if they really want to make that change.
Speaking of research, between Antebellum, Harriet, were there things about slavery that you learned that surprised you, and if so, what were they?
That surprised me. Whew.
Or I should say struck you, or like, I don't know, that because this is a very chattel slavery, very heavy material you're dealing with. Was it something that you know kind of sat with you?
Yeah, and I just want to say that this film doesn't deal with that the whole film. Right. I want to be clear about that. Antebellum, you know, is highlighting our joy, highlighting our celebration, highlighting our brilliance, also highlighting our pain, also highlighting what it is like, again, for the Black woman to carry the burden, you know, of fighting for marginalized voices every single day. And so one of the things that I want to also say is that I don't think we can talk about those issues. And I think when I was filming this movie, I was just like, man, I get an opportunity to go back after I film and like eat a cup of gumbo because we were in New Orleans, and I get to go get in my bed. But you know, our ancestors, they couldn't do that. And I think when I was filming this, I just remembered being fatigued and just being like, man, I don't have any more in me. I cannot, you know, I don't want to film today. And it was really, it was walking in New Orleans and filming on some of these locations and feeling that presence of my ancestors that I know got me through. Every walk, every movement, every head turn, every running, every thought that I was thinking, I know that they were right there with me, their spirit. And even up until when I saw the first cut, I was like, I don't see myself. I see them. I see some ancient eyes when I'm looking at this character. So I felt the presence even more of my ancestors by filming this.